Linda, is there anybody registered for public comment?
No.
Okay. Do we need to touch base with Johanny?
I
Is she
did
having
text her once
difficulty?
already. I'll text her again.
Okay. There's Donna.
Oop.
Okay, do we have the applicant with us this evening?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Cuck on behalf of the applicant. How is everybody?
Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Andrea McHenry is here.
Hi, Andrea.
There you are,
Welcome.
Andrea.
I made it in.
We've been a little bit panicky trying to make sure we were getting in, and it was a little bit tricky. So
You made it.
we made it. Yes, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. This is always a challenge these days.
All right. I see President Wallman has joined us. We're waiting for a few more council members if possible. Otherwise, Linda and David, is everybody else on the call that needs to be here for this hearing? Yes? Okay. Just give everybody a couple minutes. Finding the agendas for today's onslaught of meetings is a little tricky, but they're all there. They're on the website. So if anybody is tuning in and you haven't found the agenda yet, you can go to readingp.gov and under the
Johanny emailed or texted me and she will be joining us.
she will be joining us.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So the agenda that we're following right now for this meeting is the conditional use hearing agenda for October 19 of 2021. So you'll be able to find that under council meetings and agendas. And there's a section for conditional use. And right now, just for technology's sake, I'm looking at my agenda. I switched my screen. Can you see my photo or did it automatically default to a blank image?
Yes, it defaulted.
Okay, well, we'll just jump back and forth then. All right. Do we have Melissa on as well? I don't see her.
No.
Okay, so we're waiting for Melissa.
And Johanny should be joining us.
Somehow I'm missing the agenda. Do we have that?
So if you go online to our council agendas,
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
and then there should be conditional use, special meeting. Do you
Special
see
meeting
that?
agendas.
Mhm. And it's listed as conditional use. I think it's the second one down in the bar. The drop down tab.
Might be steering. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Got
Okay.
it? Yeah, it's a little
Yep.
tricky. A little
Yeah,
tricky.
I'm sorry. I'm looking under C for conditional use.
No
Oh.
problem.
Here we are. Okay. Should know that.
I'm gonna text Melissa and see if, was she at the public hearing?
Yeah, she was. Here comes Johanny.
Oops. Goes so fast.
Okay, I see that Johanni's connecting to her audio. I think we'll try to get started.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Johanni. There's Melissa. All right, awesome. Okay, we're gonna get started. Okay, welcome everybody to these conditional use hearing today, which is October 19th of 2021. This is a zoning public hearing. We had a capital public hearing, and then following this, we will be having a budgetary review. So busy Tuesday evening for us here. The purpose of this hearing is to consider a conditional use application for a group home at 730-32 McKnight Street. That's located in a residential 3 area, which allows group homes as a conditional use. We do not have anybody registered for public comment. And so we're not going to read through the public comment instructions. The first item on the agenda is testimony from the applicant. We allow 10 minutes, no more, for this testimony, and then allow counsel to cross-examine. So this time I'm going to turn it over to the applicant for your presentation.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, Mr. Latchett, Mr. Paris. Want to say good evening. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Mark Cuck. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which is Freedom and Restoration for Everyone Enslaved, the acronym being FREE. With me this evening is Andrea McHenry, who is the executive director of FREE, along with have a second witness, John Stewart, who is an architect and who also is a board member in another entity. He will be there to answer any questions if you have anything with respect to the actual structure itself. Very briefly, if I can give you a quick thumbnail sketch, I know there's a lot of documentation that's been provided already via the city staff council reports and as well as our exhibits that are out there. The quick roadmap is this. We've presented plans and architecturals to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission made a recommendation to this board with respect to this conditional use, a favorable recommendation. We had to proceed then through the land planning process, which we have been doing, and also had to obtain zoning relief, and we got a favorable decision from the zoning hearing board just last week. So that kind of sets the stage. I know everybody's busy and everybody needs to keep moving tonight, so we'll try to give you a real quick thumbnail of what we are and what we do. With that, Andrea, I know the faster we talk, the harder it is to get the point across, but nonetheless, Andrea, you are the executive director of FREE. Can you give the board, please, a thumbnail sketch of what FREE is?
So FREE is a local nonprofit organization for Berks County that does anti-human trafficking work. We've been educating Berks County for 10 years on how to identify victims, how to respond to victims, and educating our community and our children on how to stay safe. And about 4 years ago, we started moving toward direct care services, so serving victims and survivors of sexual exploitation. We opened up a women's drop-in center in downtown Reading in 2019, and we've been working to open up a refuge home, which will be housing for survivors of sexual exploitation.
Perfect segue, Andrea. So the resting place is the existing facility, right? But you need to go bigger and better and have this refuge home for the people that you basically provide services to. So 2017, you opened the resting place. 2018, you formed the Berks Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Is that right? Along
Correct.
with other county agencies.
Yes.
2019, and this is important, I want you to just mention to the board, you have a relationship with the Samaritan Women Institute for Shelter Care. Is that kind of like a parent organization?
That is, they've been doing shelter care for survivors for over 12 years. They are the experts in the field, and we have, they are our mentor organization, and we've been trained over 230 hours of training through them as part of their mentor program.
And they have essentially selected you, your entity, to be one of these refuge homes. Is that right?
Yes, out of the entire nation, FREE, along with 3 other startup shelters, were chosen to be a part of their mentor program in 2019.
We're going to kind of fast forward just a little bit, but the concept is Reading is a fantastic place for this. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And,
We believe
and,
so, yes.
and there's a need for this type of a shelter here, and you think that it will be very successful. Is that right?
I do. There's resources in cities, and so that is where survivors need to be, near the resources. We can put them 50 miles away in the country and they don't have access to those resources. So it's imperative that they have quick access to the library, to a local church, to celebrate recovery meetings or AA meetings, and to also serve and give back to their community, which is much easier to do in a city.
Now, it's your understanding and my understanding after working with the city through the last several months that we are a definition of a group home or a group care facility. Is that right?
Correct.
And is it your understanding that we meet all of the requirements of that definition?
Yes.
Just very briefly for the members of the board, are we dealing with exploited women in the 18 to 28-year-old range?
That is who we will be serving, yes.
And we provide all kinds of care to them. Can you just give a thumbnail basically of what kind of care you provide?
Yes, so it's a comprehensive program. So not only is it physical shelter and safety, but there is a therapeutic aspect to our program where they will be getting counseling, they will be doing academics, job skills, getting jobs eventually as they move along in the program, focus groups, self-care, healthy boundaries, safe people, a truly comprehensive therapeutic approach to get these women back on track and live in sustained freedom ultimately.
Basically physical care to emotional care, community outreach, jobs, skills, everything, right?
Correct.
I do want to touch on a couple of quick points for the city council. There will be 24/7 supervision. Is that right? Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, so the women in our home will have staff or volunteers there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they will not be home alone at any point. They will not have cars. They will not really just be coming and going on their own. They will have people with them, qualified and competent staff with them 24/7, helping them move along in the program and really mentoring them as they continue to heal. There will be specific lights out, bedtime. They will have monitored access to the internet. So there will be as many safety precautions in places as you can imagine.
And that's a perfect segue. So we have 24/7 supervision, at least one employee, potentially one volunteer, right? But round the clock, 8-hour shifts.
Around the clock. Yep. 168 hours a week, I believe that is. Yep.
And so as we work our way into that, one of the things that we got into is you do kind of a vetting process on your residents. Is that right?
That is right. There will be an intake process to see who is the right fit for our home.
And so we look at felonies, we look at criminal backgrounds, we look at drug use, all of that kind of stuff, essentially, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about safety and security. Is that a primary concern of yours?
That's the number one priority. And even through our mentorship with the Samaritan Women, safety is always the number one priority.
You have surveillance on the property, 24/7 video surveillance and state of the art, right?
There's state of the art. So there's cameras outside. You can see inside the house on monitors around the entire perimeter of the house. And there's a security system in the house as well.
Talk a little bit about 730 and 732. Previously, this was two separate single family dwellings. Is that right?
Correct.
The concept is that these are going to be combined into one single family residence to house up to 6 women, I think. Is that the right number?
Yes, and it already is, for all intensive purposes, one home. It was created into one home many years ago, and it's a 9-bedroom big home.
With respect to the requirements for the ordinance in terms of a group care facility, we've already gotten zoning relief with respect to the lot size, which is pre-existing. Is that right?
Correct.
The zoning board required us to have 3 parking spaces. You're willing to comply with that requirement. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And as we work our way through with respect to the rest of the actual requirements, essentially it's your intention to comply. Is that right?
Correct.
We don't intend to have any signage here. We don't want to draw any attention to this. It's a single family residence.
That is correct. There will be no sign, and for all intensive purposes, it is a single family home.
So when you look at it from McKnight Street, you'll basically not know the difference. Is that right?
You will not.
Was that just feedback? I'm sorry. Okay. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think
keep
it
moving
was.
ahead.
You're
So,
just about, yep, you got 2 minutes, Mark.
okay. So very simply, Andrea, the bottom line is this proposed use going to have any negative impact on the surrounding properties or neighborhood?
It will not. We have been trained and we are ready to open the doors, and it will not have any impact on this neighborhood whatsoever.
And is it your belief and understanding there won't be unnecessary traffic congestion? There won't be any issue with utilities, no threat to the public health or safety?
Absolutely not. And the women, again, will not have cars, so there will not be more than 2 cars at any given time on the property.
And you monitor that very carefully, as well as, I'll point out, you also monitor their access to the internet, cell phone usage, all that kind of stuff, right?
That is correct.
So do you believe this is a good fit for this particular property in this neighborhood?
I believe it is an incredible fit for this neighborhood, for this population of women, and it is needed.
And you believe it's appropriate for this site as well?
It is appropriate for the site, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I will turn over Ms. McHenry to any questions. We do have Mr. Stewart, who is an architect, to explain any of the interior renovations there and sprinklering if you want it. So I'll just make that offer that he's there if you need to ask him any questions.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thank you, Andrea. It's nice to see you. I'm very familiar with your organization and the work that you have been doing. So thanks for coming in front of us this evening. Council members, any questions for Andrea, for Mark, and or John? Donna?
Thank you for the presentation. I have been following this with planning and zoning. I would like to hear a little bit from the architect how these 2 buildings were made into one property. I know it predates this particular application. Also a question that maybe David can handle, or someone else, or you, Mark, regarding how the deed has the deed been changed via one deed for 730, 732, and how the application cites that, just to reiterate and make it clear.
So to break that into a couple parts, maybe Mr. Stewart, I think the question has been proposed. Are you familiar with the building itself?
Yes, yes.
And do you have an understanding of what happened previously, or are you more familiar with what's going to happen in the future with respect to the final fit out of this property?
Yeah, I'm a lot more familiar with what's going to happen and what the plan is in the
And
future. So,
perhaps that
And I
will,
guess a quick follow-up to that, I know sometimes there have been concerns in the past with other properties when walls have been, when connections have been done between the firewalls of old buildings and the thickness of them and stability, structural stability. Are there any concerns that the conversion of this into one particular property, everything structurally is okay? Have you checked that? Have you gone through that?
yes, we're comfortable with the existing structures and with the modifications, necessary to connect the 2. And they're basically portals or openings. We're not tearing out full walls or anything that would jeopardize the initial character of the buildings.
So how it was done is acceptable. That's what I'm asking. How it was
Yeah.
done prior to your organization acquiring it, that it was done in an acceptable and sound way.
Yes, yes.
and I believe we can make an offer of proof to council that we will comply and have complied with all codes, and we will have all inspections done. And in fact, I think, Mr. Stewart, we are proposing to sprinkler this facility as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think you can probably rest assured, Councilwoman Reed, that this will be top-notch, first rate, and done safely and very carefully. And if I may then, with respect to the deed itself, ladies and gentlemen, within our exhibits, there is a copy of the deed. If in fact, for some reason, that deed is not acceptable, and I do want to be clear that currently Mr. and Mrs. McHenry own the property. One of the conditions is that it has to be conveyed to Free as part of the process. And if we're successful in obtaining all the approvals, that will be done. So at any point, if the Planning Commission has any comments about the deed, certainly we will have no problem. But I think it's actually written as one perimeter description now as we speak. So.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Strat.
Mark, Councilman Moore over here. How many people are you going to be able to accommodate in this facility?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question, Commissioner Marlborough.
How many people are you figuring you can accommodate in this facility?
No more than 6, I believe, Andrea, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, that's my one question. Excuse me. Are we reaching out beyond the city of Reading and looking for people? Are we getting requests from people from out of the city to come in?
To the extent you're able to answer that, Andrea.
Can you repeat that? I had a hard time hearing. Can you repeat that?
Are we looking for people from out of the city to come in to this
So I think,
resident?
so I think I understand the question is, are we proposing to provide our services to not only local residents, but potentially other residents from outside the city as well?
Yes.
We can serve locally, but we would also take referrals if that would be a good fit for our program from outside of the city. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, council, any other questions for the 3 that are representing the project?
Just
Donna?
one other quick one.
Mhm.
You said there's 3 off-street parking spaces. Is that correct? But only 2 will be used at a time. Is that
So
accurate?
there currently are only existing is 1 garage, I believe. We were proposing to install a new space, but we will, Andrea, I think, what's the plan for the 3 spaces?
Yes, we would be able to take down the garage. If we
Okay.
need to fit those 3 spaces, can fit easily back there.
So the proposal would be to have 3 spaces on site and the need to
Yes.
use 2 probably at most at any given time.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, because parking is at a premium in that block.
yes,
And again, that's the reason there will be no vehicles for the residents of the facility.
correct.
Okay, any other questions from council?
I figured Fred was going to hit me with something. Go ahead, Fred, huh?
No, but I would just, I think Linda made a comment about, I don't know if you want to just present the packet as just exhibit 1 and have that marked and entered into evidence.
So what I would propose is that we had submitted a zoning hearing set of exhibits that I believe were forwarded on to Fred. I would move the admission of those exhibits if that's acceptable. And I also would be happy with the council staff report as well being part of the exhibits. If that suits everybody, I'd move that both of those be admitted if they would, please.
All the documents provided by Mr. Cuck and the zoning administrator, including the application, are attached to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to move forward with testimony from, I'm sorry, wait, I'm just seeing now Johanny has her hand up. Johanny?
I'm so sorry. Yes, Lucine. Hi, Andrea. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jen.
Quick question. How long is the stay? So when women come into the program, what is the projected time frame that they'll be staying? Like, how often will you have like turnover?
Yeah, so there will be 2 facets to the program. Women can come and stay for a 90-day stay, which would be a stabilization, or they can choose to stay for 18 months. So a longer term, really getting them on that road of restorative care.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks, Johanny.
Okay, very good. So we're moving on to Mr. David Paris for his testimony. David, you've got 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll use a lot less than that, I think, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. So just procedurally to explain where we are, as has already been stated, this project has touched on Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board, and now is before City Council. As the applicant has already stated, this did go through and received the required variances from the Zoning Hearing Board, which needed to be taken care of before we got to this point of City Council. And in addition, they will be returning to the Planning Commission to address the consolidation of the 2 lots into a single lot, and essentially are just waiting for to receive a decision on the zoning questions first before they finalize that aspect of the process. But otherwise, I just wanted to confirm what has been said, which is that this is a use that is allowed as conditional use within the R3 district. And the general requirements of a conditional use are set forth in the zoning ordinance. They've been discussed here. So we've provided some background information in the zoning staff report, as well as some photos of the site. One of the main concerns that we had was to make sure that there would be adequate off-street parking, given what is available on this street and our observations of the street. There's not a lot of parking on street other than, for the residents. And when we visited at different times of the day, there's not a whole lot of availability. So the fact that they are willing to put to maximize their off-street parking off of the alley in the rear was obviously something that we were very happy to see. And just reiterate, the board did give a variance from the requirement, which would have been 4 spaces. They reduced that to 3, but that appears to be able to be accommodated with the 2 lots that are being consolidated into 1 here. Other than that, we had some conditions that we recommended to the zoning hearing board, having to do with making sure that the annexation plan is completed and that some minimal site improvements are taken care of to make sure that this has an attractive appearance and all of the sidewalks and otherwise are kept up. The applicant agreed to those conditions essentially at the zoning hearing, and that has been made part of the zoning hearing board's decision. And so our recommendation to council is that if this is approved, that you would just adopt the same conditions that the zoning hearing board included in its decision to approve the variances. That's all I have as far as background, but I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, David. Noted to adopt potentially the conditions that the zoning board has moved forward. Council, any questions directly for David? Just going to give it a minute. I know sometimes it's hard to take ourselves off mute or get the little yellow hand icon up. Just want to give everybody that Zoom courtesy, right?
The new protocols.
It is. It is. Okay. Looks like we are okay. All right. So at this time, we do not have anyone registered for public comment. So we'll move forward with the announcement of the expected date of decision. City Council will render a decision by adopting an ordinance at the November 8th meeting. And that is a regular council meeting. So at this time, if there's nothing else for open general discussion on this topic, I need a motion to adjourn for this hearing.
So moved. So moved.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. It was nice to see you all, even if it's via Zoom. For everybody else, we will be exiting this meeting and then entering into our budget hearing. There is a separate link for that. So please tune right back in. Thank you, everybody.
Ladies and
Have a good
gentlemen,
night.
thank you
Thank
all
you
for
so
your
much
time.
for
We
your
greatly
time.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night.
everyone.
Thank you.